He will be taking. Thank you. So Tosin, I think you have the floor. Please take it away. Thank you.
All right, thanks a lot, Emmanuel. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this wonderful event. I'm so excited. I was just reading through all the the stuffs being posted, right? Thank you so much for for joining us here. We are really happy to have you. Let's not waste our time. We just get straight to it. I want to say welcome to everyone. Either you got into Canada yesterday or you've been here for a little while. Yes, welcome to you. And for most of us, I believe most of the people on board today will be, immigrants who've come into Canada. I want to start off by saying that I really salute your courage. It's not easy to leave everything you have and all that you've known behind, just to start life in a completely, new and different terrain. There's so many challenges, that one would face doing that. You see, moving to a new country sometimes, is a mix of, there's the excitement, and of course, there's always that part of uncertainty. And, it depends on, how things go, especially in the first, maybe few months to the first year, right? That would actually determine how quickly we realize our goals and our aspiration. The essence of our coming together today is to help us cut down that time, so that we can, within the shortest, possible time, we're able to realize our goals and our aspiration. And, to welcome and start off this, I'll just give an analogy. There was something I read sometime back, about the Stone Age, compared to this new age. During the Stone Age, the landmark of that time was that man was able to cleverly, I would use the word cleverly. Man was able to cleverly create a lot using crude tools. So, for example, man was able to create fire, picking up two stones, striking them together. And, they did a lot of things that over the years have been built on. And today we have whatever it is we are. But there's a major difference between the Stone Age and the age in which we are right now. You see, in the new age, right, we are not actually, what we do rather is to crudely make use of all the creative tools that we now have. And one of the creative tools we have is information. And that's what tonight is all about. You see, if you know who Claude Shannon is a mathematician and engineer. He's said to be the father of information theory. He said that information is the resolution of uncertainty. So when you get to that stage where you don't know what to do, or you don't even know how to go about it, seek information. To me, I see information as a touch, and that's what we're giving us tonight. Things might be a little dark or gloomy at one point or the other, but with that touch, it gives you just enough to move in the right direction. And that's what we're doing tonight. We're not going to tell you, 1 million things to do to become the best person here in Canada. No, we're just going to give you the very important basic resource, and that is the information that you need to make it. We'll be talking about different aspects, your career life, finances, different aspects of your life. You would even get to hear testimonials from people like you who started not too long ago and are doing quite well. You're going to see them tonight, talk to you, and we'll give you a little bit about, the people of the land. So you get to hear about the indigenous people of Canada. And it's just going to be a wonderful time. So all I'm going to ask of you tonight is sit back, relax, right? And come with us on this journey. It's a journey to the goal that you've always wanted, the dream that you've always wanted to realize. But remember, the key is still in your hand. How you're going to crudely, with all that you have, devour and make use of the information that will be passing around tonight. All right. So without further ado, it will be my pleasure to welcome specially, the president and the founder of NIPCA, right, to just, take it over from me and speak with us. So I'll be calling on Osita Onwajofo to take over right now.
I'm not sure if we have Osita on the call, but just
before, you can go ahead, Emmanuel, with the with the plan there.
Yeah, just before.
Hi guys.
Okay, Osita is here. Okay. All right.
Yeah. So sorry, I have to jump out from another meeting. Sorry guys. It's like I had my name now. What am I supposed to do?
Yeah, so
Tell me, please.
you're speaking on career acceleration.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah, that's basically.
Okay, excellent, great. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, my people. How are we doing today?
Good evening, Osita. How are you?
Excellent. I'm doing very well. Man, I don't want this. I mean, this shouldn't be a dull session, right? It shouldn't be a dull session now, please.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Can we have more faces? Can we have more faces? Like I can only see like 10 people, right? Can I see like 20 or 30 persons? Please, I need some morale. Because I didn't even plan for this session. Oh. I need some morale so that I will be able to yarn. More faces, more faces, more faces, more faces. More faces, more faces, more faces. Thanks for those delivering their cameras. More faces. Let's make this a little bit participatory. I beg, a little participatory. You don't say cold day. I need some ginger, I need some morale. Nelly, why are you doing like this? Excellent, great. No, this is a very good program, I can say. And I want to start first of all by appreciating the team that put this together. It's not easy. Out of their busy schedules, you know, we've got Emmanuel, we've got Femi, we've got Tosin, we've got UN, we've got Zainab, you know, all the program and event team members. It's incredible, guys. Please, let's appreciate them first of all on the chat. Let's appreciate them because again, these are guys, individuals dedicating their time, you know, making sure that we're able to bring, you know, this kind of information to our community. It's not easy, right? There is always 1001 reasons why they probably will not even have time, right? Of course, especially in this part of the world where the time is like 20 hours per day. I'm not sure if I'm the only one that keep experiencing this. My clock, every time I'm looking at it, the thing, in fact, the time doesn't reach 24 hours. I'm not sure why. So, but again, these guys have dedicated time, making out effort to ensure we're able to put program out, program upon program. You know, we are still on the Elevate. No, we just finished the Evolve Summit. And from Evolve Summit, we got into Elevate mentorship program. And that mentorship program is ongoing at the moment. And here we are again with the newcomer program, back to back. I said we should appreciate this guy. I'm only seeing about 5 appreciations here. What's going on here, guys? Only 5 people. What is going on? Let's appreciate this man. Let's appreciate them. If not, one of them might just pull the cable and the session is over. Let's appreciate them. They are doing incredible job. All right. So let's quickly, I think, you know, my speech is supposed to be on a career acceleration. So let me kind of take a few minutes to speak about a few things, which I believe will benefit some of us, especially newcomers. Typically, when we say newcomers, some persons will think that newcomers is possibly if you've been in Canada for like 6 months or 3 months, that is newcomer. I don't think that is the case. I think newcomer, anybody that has been in this country for like less than 5 years is a newcomer. So even myself, I'm a newcomer too. I've just been here for a little over 5 years. So in a way, I'm a newcomer too, if that's the definition. Yeah, but the idea is for us to be able to connect, share insight together, you know, be able to kind of exchange ideas. That is really what we're about to do here. It's not going to be a one-way kind of session. There's going to be room for a lot of questions. So please don't go away. Another thing I want to encourage you is that share this link with so many of people within your community. If you're in our Telegram, the Zoom link is in the Telegram right now. Can you pick the Zoom link on the Telegram and share with your network? Drop it on WhatsApp group where you belong. Tell guys to join because this is really going to be very helpful for them, right? Go to NIPCA Telegram right now, pick the Zoom link and share in your WhatsApp group. Encourage the guys in your network to join this session. I believe they are going to benefit for sure. Information is power, especially in this part of the world. Once you've got this information, it's going to help you to ensure that you are actually what? Accelerating your career positively. Because I often say there is positive acceleration, negative acceleration, and zero acceleration, right? Somebody might be moving. You think you're accelerating, but you're just going around in a circle, right? That is not what we want to achieve. We all want to what? Make progress in terms of positive acceleration. So permit me to share my screen. I think I've got a few slides here. Let me know when you can see the screen. Can you see? Just a nod or a yay?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much. 1 second. Okay, cool. So career acceleration as an immigrant. I'm going to talk about, like, I'm going to talk generally, a little bit generally, right? But at the same time, I will also talk about, tech. Of course, you guys now will be biased when it comes to career acceleration. I can't speak about career acceleration without talking about tech, because we've seen how tech have really helped so many immigrants, to pivot. How tech have helped so many immigrants to really make progress in terms of their career. So let's move quickly. Myself, this is my humble self. Again, I've been within the tech space for over 20 years. I started my career as a business analyst. From business analysis, I've done cybersecurity, I've done agile, I've done project management, I've done SAP, I've done Salesforce, I've worked in management consulting with IBM. I've also worked in leadership position in tech as well. I think I've got some little experience when it comes to technology. We are still growing, but I think I have 1 or 2 things to share with us. Pivoting to tech. Okay, 1 second. Yeah, let's go quickly. That's a slide I just want to start with. Okay, cool. So career acceleration strategy. How do you accelerate your career as a new immigrant? How do you accelerate your career? What I tell people, professionals generally, most of the times, and all the time, when I have this kind of opportunity, I come in contact with them, is always plan your career in 3, like talking about 3 strategies, 3 phases. Most time as immigrants, when we come into this country, there's that rush. There's that tendency to rush, that kind of thing. You come in, maybe you've already met Chris, or you and Chris have known for quite some time. And all of a sudden, oh, Chris is now a manager somewhere, or Chris have done a couple of things with his career in Canada. The next thing, there's pressure, right? Pressure is on you now. You are like, hey, oh boy, now this 15 minimum wage salary, $15 per hour salary that I'm going to survive on and stuff like that. You put so much pressure on yourself. We sometimes want to do that. But at the same time, we need to realize that everything, including transition into a new environment like Canada, is in phases. It's in phases. There might be some exceptions, maybe individuals right from Africa or wherever they are coming from, possibly they have even gotten a job before landing. Yes, there are people like that. That is incredible. But that is also what in the minority. Majority will have to come in and figure out things, gradually make some move, then eventually get to where they want to go. So always envisage that this is a phase. It helps you to reduce pressure on yourself. Immediate goal. What is the immediate goal? Most professionals tend to plan even before relocating into any country like Canada. But we have also seen situations where many professionals don't even plan what they intend to do. If you're in Africa, there is this, slang that is running everywhere now. Japa, everybody wants to japa, right? Somebody should explain the meaning of Japa on the chat, please, for some of us that probably do not understand the meaning of Japa, right? But everybody wants to move, want to relocate. Most time, people don't even think, if I get to that country, what am I going to be doing? What is going to be the profession? What is going to be the career? Until when many, when they land into this country, they now realize that, hey, it's a different scenario entirely. The career plan, career strategy, everything is different. You got to plan. You got to begin to figure out things. And that is where some will, depending on who you meet again, that is why community is very important. You meet, there are some individuals you will meet, and the next thing is what? Survivor job. There's nothing wrong with survivor jobs. I say that all the time. But what matters is how far you stay in that survivor job. Immediate goal, or what I can call the stopgap. Stopgap. You are coming in. For most of us coming from Africa, for instance, bills are paid in Africa per month and per year. In Canada, you are paying bills per hour. Sometimes it could even be per minute. You are paying bills. So you got what sustain. For you to sustain, you need to earn in dollars. That is why the immediate goal is important. That immediate goal could be picking up a customer service job. It could be, working in the factory. It could be working as an Uber driver. It could be, working in the warehouse. All these are good jobs. There is dignity in labor. They will pay you, but don't stay too long in such positions, because that is not the dream. The Canadian dream that you've planned for yourself and your family is not to come here and work as a customer service for 10 years. That is not the dream. So those jobs, you want to stay there for a couple of months, 3 months, 6 months maximum. Once it passes 6 months, it's something else entirely. You don't want to stay there more than 6 months. While you are in such a job, what do? You don't relax, you don't settle. Rather, what you start doing is what? You begin to what? Plan for the short-term goal. The short-term goal could not be understanding your transferable skills. What have you been doing in the past? Based on the skills you've got in the past, okay, let me leverage all those skills to now begin to look for a job within those particular areas. If, for example, you are a banker before, you might now begin to think, okay, which of the banks can I apply? I've got experience in capital markets. Let me apply for capital market related jobs. Or I've got experience in cybersecurity. Let me start looking for cybersecurity jobs, and so on and so forth. Those are your short-term goals. In doing that, you look out for resources, look out for mentorship, look out for community, look out for those that will support you along this line, including job referrals. That is why a community like NIPCA is very important, where people support each other. You need referrals for jobs, you have members willing to what? Refer you for different companies. Very important. As you're making progress, you're not thinking about the long term. Where do you want to go with your career, right? For example, I want to start as a business analyst, but I need to do a training. Before I do the training, okay, let me get a job. You can get a job as a customer service person. That is your immediate goal. That is your stopgap. While you are working as a customer service, you pick up a training. For example, 3 months accelerator training in business analysis. That is what? Short term. You want to get into business analysis. The moment you are wrapping up that, you work as a business analyst for some time. I want to move into project management, or I want to move into DevOps, or I want to move into cybersecurity. That becomes your long-term plan. Always start from known to unknown. Do not start from unknown to known. Very important. Many professionals have arrived and they started from unknown to known. They started from the difficult areas to the softer area. That will be difficult. A lady spoke with me last month. Came to Canada, no, last 2 months, came to Canada, and the next thing, she had marketing background, and after that, she did customer service. In Canada, she's working as a customer service agent. And the next thing she wants to do was DevOps. From customer service to DevOps. Do you see the gap? That is like moving from primary school to university without secondary school, without high school. You don't plan career that way. You want to move from known to unknown. Leverage your transferable skills. Then from there, you can now begin to make move into the harder side of things. Many professionals today have seen themselves going through negative acceleration because they are starting from the difficult side of things. Sometimes you start from that difficult area, you will not be able to finish the program, you will not be able to finish the course, frustration will set in, and the next thing, you are frustrated. You don't even know what else to do. So it's always very important. This slide, I can spend 3 hours on this slide to talk about the need for career planning. Don't just jump, or don't be at a very, very, don't be at a haste to say, I want to move to this length. Take it gradually, but make sure you are making progress along the line. Very important. All right, let's talk about tech because we've talked about career plan. This is very key. Immediate goal, short-term goal, long-term goal, right? But as I said, most of us here, I believe we are tech professionals or those that want to pivot into tech. But again, when you talk about tech, why tech? Everybody is talking about tech today. Everybody. The truth is that virtually everything we do today has got tech embedded in it. There is nothing whatsoever that we are doing today that do not have element of tech. Nothing. That is why even in health tech, we have health tech, we have fintech, we have agri-tech, so many variations. Why? Tech is a catalyst. Tech is a driver. Tech is that particular tool that will enable a business to scale. As a company, you might just be operating within a particular locality. When you embed or integrate tech into what you do through automations and so on and so forth, what happens? The business scales. That is why tech is the future. So whatever domain that you have chosen is great, is good, but at the same time, you want to also give a thought about tech. These are some of the reasons why I think that tech is in thing. First is the future, as I've mentioned. Everything we do today is about technology. Why? It's catalyst, it's driver, it helps the business to accelerate faster than anything else. If you have a business and you are not embedding tech, you are going to be going out of business anytime soon. Tech is that tool that helps the business to continue to accelerate. Tech is global. The skills you have as a cybersecurity analyst in Africa or wherever location you are coming from, that same skill applies in Canada. That same skill applies in North America. So tech is global, right? Licenses and regulation is not applicable in tech. If you are into medicine or healthcare, that is a highly regulated profession. You can't just come in here and start working as a nurse. You can't just come in and work as a doctor. You have to go through the exams. You can't just come in and work as a lawyer. These are regulated professions. Tech is not regulated. So you can hit the ground running straight away with your tech skills. Of course, opportunities abound in tech. Multiple projects. If you're that kind of person that you want to work on multiple projects, tech gives you the opportunity. You can be working from home and work for multiple companies, work for multiple projects. I have hundreds of professionals today working on multiple projects from the comfort of their homes. That is what tech can offer you. If you're working in some professions where you have to physically go to the office, I don't think it will be possible to work on multiple projects. But tech will be able to offer you that. Freelance, of course, you can do freelancing as well. Volunteer opportunities abound everywhere. You can volunteer for different companies. Help them automate their process. Help them in project management. Help them in business analysis. Help them in process improvement. These are opportunities that tech can give to you. While doing that, you are what? Gaining the Canadian experience. Most of us here have that Canadian experience. No employer will say that to you, but most times they look at your resume, they speak with you to gauge if you are the right fit for the position. Sometimes they look at that Canadian experience. How long has she been in Canada? How long has he been in Canada? They look at all this in their considerations. So having those experiences helps you, and tech will obviously offer that to you as well. Flexibility in pivoting, right? You can pivot. You're working as a business analyst today. 6 months after, you can decide to move as a Scrum Master. Another 6 months, you can decide to move into product management or UI UX design. You can do all these things. It's easy. Unlike some other profession that is a bit rigid. Once you start, you are there, there's no flexibility in terms of pivot, in terms of change of career. Moving quickly. The 10 skills and jobs. So let's talk about the top 10. There are so many, but what I've done here is just to put high level, 10 top skills in tech, especially what we've seen today, talking about within the tech ecosystem. First, software engineering. You can never go wrong if you want to become a software engineer. The core skills you need is programming skill, coding skill. If you're somebody that likes coding, you've done that before, then of course that might be a very good area for you. But if, for example, you have not done anything coding before, and you are probably in your 40s, and you already have like about 3 or 4 children, you so many dependencies and everything else, coding might not be for you. Right? Because as a coder, you need time. It might take you hours to debug a code. So you need to put things in perspective. There's a lady last year that spoke to me. She said, oh, I came into this country. I was speaking with somebody that told me that I should go for software engineering. She went to a college to enroll for software engineering, a program of 1 year. 3 months into the program, she dropped out. 3 months, she dropped out. She said she didn't know that software engineering is about programming, that I was lost in the class. I didn't understand what they were doing. I said, but why would you go for software engineering in the first place, right? No IT background, no programming background, and that is the first job she's even looking for. And she's going to programming. That is a wrong strategy. The first strategy, remember, short term, remember immediate goal, short term, and long term. Programming can be a long-term goal for her. And those are very important for us to understand. Data science and analytics. Data analytics, very, very hot. We've seen so many accountants within our ecosystem today pivoting into data analytics. If you're an accountant and you are into payroll or the typical back office accountant, where you count money, you see so much money, but those money are not yours, right? This might be an area for you. Data analytics, because accountants are known to be number people, right? You love reporting, dashboard, and stuff like that. Data analytics is an area for you to think about. So if you're an accountant, because it's not just about working. If you are working and your take-home salary is not taking you home, then you need to begin to think. Data analytics have the potential to offer you 6-figure job easily. So if you are doing something right now and you think, hey, my skills can be leveraged somewhere else in tech, and you are a number person, you possibly have a background in accounting, statistics, or you're that kind of person that, you love numbers, you love insight, this is for you. You might want to give it a try. Cloud computing, that is the future as well. Every organization right now, especially during COVID, many have moved to the cloud. Many organizations don't even want to do that before now, but COVID has forced many to move to the cloud. Now, look at it, many projects, digital transformation projects across many companies these days, and companies are looking for cloud solution engineers. That is an area. We have DevOps, we have quality assurance. You can also pivot into those areas as well. We've got product management, UI, UX, and design thinking. We've got cybersecurity. Within cybersecurity, there are different sub areas. You say, oh, cybersecurity is technical. No, there's an area in cybersecurity that is called GRC, governance, risk, and compliance. You can become a GRC consultant without technical skill. We have lawyers today that have moved to become GRC consultants, leveraging their skills in law, regulatory requirement, compliance, policies, and all those kind of things, moving into GRC, and they're making 6-figure jobs. We have ServiceNow, which is an ITSM. Okay, NIPCA has a program as well on Thursday, this coming Thursday, 24th, right? Is it 24th? No. Is it 24th?
Yes, 24th.
Yes, thank you. Yes,
Oh.
there's a session that NIPCA also have that is going to talk about ServiceNow. For those interested, please attend that session next Thursday. ServiceNow is very hot. Very, very hot. Many, especially from Africa, are not aware of ServiceNow because we are used to our traditional, modules and areas in tech. ServiceNow is hot. Many Fortune 500 companies are using it today. Using it for help desk support, to design workflow, and so many other things that they use it for. It's a very good area. If, for example, like I remember 2 years ago, I spoke to one of our members. This guy was working as an IT help desk officer in Canada. IT help desk. What was his salary? Salary was $55,000. 55. When we spoke, and I told him, why are you doing IT help desk? How long have you been in this position? He said 1 year plus. I asked him, have you heard of ServiceNow before? He said, no. I said, please go to Google, research it. Once you're done with your research, come back and let me know. He did his research and everything else. And after that, he came back. He said, wow, this is about IT service management, IT support, IT help desk. That is similar to what I'm doing. I said, then why not move to become a ServiceNow consultant? Luckily for him, NIPCA then had an incubation program that we did for 2 months to train professionals in ServiceNow. He attended, finished the 2 months, wrote the certification, CSA, Certified ServiceNow Administrator, passed the exam. Do you know what? The next thing, his resume was revamped, right? He started applying for jobs. He got a job with KPMG. Within 1 month after finishing that program and the exam, he got a job with KPMG. He moved from $55,000 to $97,000. From IT help desk to a ServiceNow administrator, 55 to 97. While he was on that particular role, he wrote the next exam and prepared for that, which is the ServiceNow developer certification. He got that. Do you know he was in KPMG? Within a couple of months, he moved to Ernst & Young. From KPMG to Ernst & Young, $125,000. That was the salary. Look at how his career has been transformed within the space of 1 year plus. He moved from 55 to 125. That is what information can help you with. He doesn't know what is ServiceNow, but understanding what it is, he understood that, oh, this is what I'm doing. Oh, I can do this. And that is what, when you talk about career, you want to think, you want to look at the areas that are in demand, which areas are selling, what is selling. Those are the kind of areas you want to attack. Let us as new immigrants stop getting ourselves so much entangled to the traditional tech-related areas. If you're a network admin, what are you doing in network admin? Don't spend too much time. Move into cybersecurity. The experience in network admin can take you into cybersecurity where you can earn 100 and something thousand, right? Leverage your transferable skills and move into things that are in demand. Very important. Then, of course, we have Agile and Scrum Master, business analysis and project management. Business analysis is one of those that, even if you don't have any IT knowledge before, as long as you can use Microsoft Word, right? You can use Microsoft Word document and you can communicate, you can become a business analyst. No technical skills required. It's all about leveraging your ability to communicate and work with people. That's what you need. Many within the ecosystem have moved their career to the next level through business analysis. Then, of course, blockchain technology, artificial intelligence, and metaverse. Those ones are also very good, but you need core programming skills to delve into those particular areas. Career in tech requires coconut head. You must activate the coconut head really for you to succeed in tech. Tech is not an area where you go in and all of a sudden you have one small challenge and you freak out. You must activate the coconut head, ready to push, ready to look for resources, ready to look for help, ready to ask questions. That is the kind of spirit you need to succeed in tech. I often tell most of the members within our ecosystem, 6-figure job requires 6-figure commitment. Yes. So you can't, that commitment must be there, right? Do your research, attend the bridging program. Black Tech have so many, NIPCA has so many. Attend programs to get more information. There was a program we did in February called TriTech, where we demystify all the areas that are in demand in tech today. 16 areas were demystified. For 6 weeks in February, we had 1,500 participants. The video of all these sessions are in our YouTube channel. Go to YouTube and type Black Tech, check out TriTech. program, you will see all the videos. There's a video in business analysis, a video in project management, a video in Scrum Master. Each of those videos will tell you skills required to move into a particular area. Skills that you need, what are the salary range, how do you pivot, what is a day in the life of a professional working in that space. That is very, very important. Okay? If you're here listening to me now, you are not even sure. That is the beginning. Start from there to look at the videos and begin to make sense of what you think you want to do. Right? Decide which path to take. Right? Go for passion. Right? Get the training. Find supportive community. Right? Start learning. Start learning. Okay? Build a portfolio of projects. Very important. Hands-on skills. Certifications are good, but you must grab the hands-on skills because those are the kind of skills that will give you the confidence to face the interviews. And those confidence that when you face the interviews, you'll be able to secure the job. So skills are very, very key. Look smart, be smart, and develop confidence. Very important. And of course, drain your ignorance and improve your capability. Be consistent, be resilient. That is the coconut head we are talking about. You got to be consistent. You can't. You have no reason not to succeed. There's no reason whatsoever not to succeed. Okay? How many more minutes do I have, Jesse and Emmanuel? How many more minutes? Because five?
It's past already.
How many more minutes do I have, Jesse, Emmanuel, please?
Around 3.
Jesse, we can't hear you.
Have time left. You don't
5
have
minutes?
time left. Yeah, just round up, like 2 minutes to round up.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because I've got so many things to share. Yeah. No, it's good. It's good. So I will just summarize here. Now, what you're seeing on the screen is the foundation in tech. When you talk about tech, you talk about SDLC, software development lifecycle. When you understand these concepts, then it becomes easier for you to pivot. What is SDLC? It's a process that happens in phases. Just like you want to cook a soup, you don't just go to the kitchen and start cooking right away. You plan, right? From planning, what do? Analysis, right? You analyze to see, okay, do I have everything I need to prepare this soup, right? Oh, okay. And even when you are doing that, you're also going to collaborate. That's consistent collaboration. You ask your husband, if you're a woman that you're trying to prepare the soup, ask your kids, what do you guys want to eat? Oh, mommy, I want to eat shawarma. Oh, the husband say, I want to eat nkobi. You have to look at everything in the fridge. Do I have everything to prepare the nkobi and shawarma? Oh, I don't think I have. Okay, what I can prepare today now is just, okay, Indomie. That's what we have to prepare. What happened? You have to work with stakeholders, align with them, build consensus, collaboration, teamwork, right? When you are done with all that, you design, you start moving into what? Trying to what? Okay, the Indomie, how am I going to cook this? Is it going to be white Indomie? Or is it going to be the one with egg? All right? You start thinking along those lines. You are designing. From there, you move into development, which is implementation, cooking, the actual cooking now. You are done with the cooking. What else? You test. You test if there is too much salt or there is too much pepper in the food, right? Along the line. Some of our women, sometimes during the testing, they even finish the food, half of the food before. But you test. You want to test the food to be sure the food is okay. Before you do what? You bring it out, right? You deploy it now. Bring it to the dining table, right? Everybody what? Start eating. And why that is happening, of course, this is just a simplest analogy you can use to understand this. And for example, if you want to do anything like project management, Scrum Master, business analysis, you need to understand this concept. Very, very important. Okay? Now, there are so many things I want to say, but Black Tech today has got several programs. From business analysis with project, data analysis with project, Scrum Master, hands-on, all the way. You can see we have SQL as well. Incredible programs developed for tech professionals, taking you from ground zero, supporting you along the way, equipping you, and holding you so that you can really become the best version of yourself. Okay, I'll be stopping here, But of course, you can always reach Black Tech using the link and the contacts on the screen right now. The website is there, the phone number is there, and the email is there. Thank you, everyone, for listening to me. And remember, you can do this. And I want to stop by getting that positive affirmation from everybody. On the chat, just say, I can do this. I can transition. I can do this. I can achieve this. You know, wherever you are right now, you are thinking about your career. I'm not sure whether you are currently at that first stage of stopgap or immediate goal, or you are in short term or you are in long term. Just tell yourself, I can do this. You have the capacity, the capability. You have it. Okay? There's nothing stopping you except you. Thanks, everyone.
Right. I think that's actually a very powerful one from Osita. As always, we know Osita to be the man with energy, with great motivation. So we can, let's keep this coming. Yes, definitely, we can do this. We can do this. So once again, thanks, Osita, for that. I really feel pumped up and feel like, yeah, I can move mountains. And one of the things I will want you to know this night is we have several things lined up. We've talked conceptually about how you can do this. So now to make it, the next step of practicality, we will be bringing up some people online to talk. And basically, these are people that have walked through this journey. So it's more of coming to share the testimonials to make you know that truly, this is not just head knowledge. It is something people have achieved. So we have a couple of people that will be speaking to that now. So first, I will be starting with Gose. So please, Gose, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much, Femi. And thanks everyone for having me here. My name is Gozi. I'm a pharmacist. For those of you who are wondering, what am I doing here? Am I transitioning to tech? I'm going to combine it. I'm interested in tech, but I'm still, but I love my profession, pharmacy, and I'm here to share my story, to tell you where I am, to tell you the things that I did and what I applied, and how I got to where I am today since I arrived Canada. So before I continue, I'd like to say that I'm proud to be speaking here today. I consider it a privilege, and I want to thank everyone who worked behind the scene at NIPCA to make this session successful. So like I said, I'm a pharmacist. I practiced in Nigeria for a couple of years before moving to Canada 2 years and a few months ago. Since I arrived, I've been able to take my PBCs. I've gained about approximately 2 years experience in my field, and I'm currently an intern pharmacist. I have just a few weeks to go before I'm fully licensed in Canada. So I have 5 points. I'm going to go straight into it. I feel like Mr. Osita has taken from my book and has said almost everything that I want to say. But I'm still going to say it anyway. So that's why when he was talking, I was just shaking my head. But it's true. And I think it's good if we hear it again. That should reinforce it and show you that these are important things that you actually need to do to succeed and flourish as an immigrant in Canada. So my first point is you need to decide your career path. Ideally, you should do this before you arrive in Canada, but within the first year is a critical time for you to decide what career you want to go into. Do you want to remain in your current career? Do you want to transition into something else? Ask yourself, are you passionate enough to do what you need to do to stay in whatever career that you are in? This is because if you decide to stick to your career like me, a pharmacist, you are likely going to start from the beginning, and it requires a level of passion and focus on your goal, not to give up along the way. Another reason is because you're coming to a totally new environment, a new economy, that you don't necessarily need to be comfortable by using your college degree. You don't even need a college degree to live a comfortable life. So there are so many options for you. So you need to sit down, think about it, and decide the career path you want to follow before you invest time and money in it. The next point would be picking the right province. I think some people overlook this, but this is very, very important. I'm going to give an example using my career pharmacy. the process to getting a license is slightly different in different provinces. For example, I know in Ontario and in Alberta, there's a compulsory bridging program that you have to do. This program takes about 6 months and costs about $12,000. There's nothing like that in Manitoba. And so many other differences. There are some provinces that have grants that they give immigrant professionals that help them, get into their field faster. So to sit down and do your research and find out, okay, if I want to start in this province, what would they need? If I want to start in this province, what do they need? Is very important for your foundation as a professional immigrant in Canada. Can save you a lot of time and money. My next point would be getting your first job. So many people have heard, oh, it's very difficult to get your first job, especially in your field when you don't have any Canadian work experience. I got my first job in a few months in my field without any Canadian experience. And there are a few ways you can do this. One is volunteering. I know someone who just went to a nearby pharmacy and said, you know what, I'm a pharmacist from this country, but I just arrived. I just want the experience. I don't need any pay. I just want to volunteer and see what it's like. And she was allowed. And from there, when there was a vacancy, she got it. The way I did it was I reached out to an immigrant center, much like the one that NIPCA is becoming. And they took me through a few weeks program where they taught me how to write a proper Canadian resume, taught me about Canadian workplace culture, interview skills, things like that. And they also had links with companies in different fields that had vacancies. And when there's a vacancy, they consider people referred from such organizations before they consider other people. So that was how I got my first job in my field. Another thing is networking. Like Mr. Osita said, if you need referrals, you have it here at NIPCA. Being a member of NIPCA is having a huge network at your disposal. So that's also very important. The next point I have is your professional exam. And my most important tip for this, that's for those of you who require license in whatever career you choose. My most important tip for this, as I said, is not to take the exam out of urgency. I think that's what most people do. And Mr. Osita mentioned something like this. You come here, you see people doing well, and you allow pressure to make you make some decisions that will cost you eventually. Don't do this. Take your professional exam when you are ready, and not just ready in terms of you've studied. Make sure you're mentally and physically ready as well, because as an immigrant, you're dealing with so many things. You're dealing with culture shock, you're dealing with settling, you're dealing with the change in weather. So you need to make sure that you are okay and you feel ready before you take this exam, so that you do not waste your time and money. Also take courses. Take preparatory courses that can help you. I took courses. I know so many people that took courses, and I was able to pass all my PEPCs on the first try. So that's a very important tip I have for you too. The next thing would be, how are you representing your community? When you finally get that job, some of you are going to be opportunity to be the first person from a particular place your colleagues are going to meet. When they ask you about your country and about people from your country, what do you say? How are you representing your community? If you leave that place today and someone from where you're from applies to the job, how are they going to consider that person because they've met you? So these are important things. Represent your community well, make sure you do your best, and inform people in your community of opportunities. When there's an opportunity at your place of work, don't keep quiet about it. Your neighbor, your friend, someone going to your church is looking for that opportunity. Let them know and refer them. There's opportunity for everyone. There's space for everyone. Getting someone that you know in your company is not going to affect you negatively. Yeah, I think that's all I have. In conclusion, to succeed and flourish in Canada as an immigrant requires being proactive, requires a lot of planning, requires making the right decisions at the right time. But it's also very important for everyone to know that it's a process and it's a journey that's different for everyone. I'm also on my journey.
I did.
Sorry, did someone say something?
Yeah, sorry about that. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, so it's a journey and I'm also on my journey and I wish everyone the best. And I hope you've learned a thing or two from what I've said today. That's all.
Yeah, thank you so much,
Sure.
Jose. That's a great one. I do think Jose deserves some
Hello,
applause.
please. I would like to contribute. I'd like to contribute and make.
Yeah, sorry, Johnson. So basically, we do have a Q&A session, which is going to come up just to ensure that we have a very seamless flow of events. So we have the Q&A coming up. So please, if the questions are really popping up now, you can definitely drop them in the chats. We will make sure we actually keep them up. And right at the Q&A session, we will tackle as many questions as we can. Thank you so much for that, Johnson. Okay, so I would say, Jose, that's a very great one. Thank you so much. And thanks for also emphasizing how important you want to represent your community, your society in every place you find yourself, because eventually you might end up being the gateway to many others that will be coming after you. So you probably want to represent things appropriately. So once again, Jose, thank you. And like I did say, this night is loaded. We have a lot of people with practical experiences to share with us. And right about now, the next person I will be calling up is Stephanie. Stephanie, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Femi, and good evening, everyone. And thank you to NIPCA, thank you to Osita and team and those who put this program together for the opportunity for me to share my experience and how NIPCA and Black Tech have helped me to realize my dream of transitioning to tech. So I have a degree in law, and I had most of my working experience in finance in the banking industry before I moved to Canada. And before I go ahead with my experience, I just want to say, being a part of a community like NIPCA and taking advantage of all that this community has to offer, such as professional network, insight, guidance from those who have walked the path that you want to walk, cannot be overemphasized. Coming in contact with NIPCA gave me a sense of direction with regards to my career. It opened my eyes to the endless possibilities Canada has to offer internationally trained professionals and inspired me to take advantage of them. You know, when you come into Canada, you might hear, oh, you have to start from ground zero. You have to just do survival jobs, you know, because you don't have Canadian experience and all that. But there's so much that you can do and so much that you can be as an internationally trained professional. And so when I was ready to pivot to tech, I didn't have any clear direction. I didn't know about NIPCA then. And so I didn't even know how to go about it. Everyone that I spoke to had their own, you know, idea of how I was to go about it, from things like, you know, just watch YouTube videos, you know, backdate your resume to, I mean, somebody even told me to backdate my resume to when before I came to Canada, including companies that I never worked at and volunteered at, you know, and that I couldn't deal, you know. And so eventually I did a BA program and that I felt would help me to transition. But that program, we had little or no practical training. We had the barest minimum help with resume prep, interview prep. And at the end of that program, I couldn't switch. And shortly after that, you know, after my failed attempt to transition, I discovered NIPCA. And how did I discover NIPCA? I overheard somebody, you know, mentoring someone else who had come to Canada and wanted to get a job experience at a job at their level of their experience from where they were coming from, and didn't just want to continue doing survival jobs. And so when I eventually joined NIPCA, I heard about Black Tech. And I heard about the Black Tech Business Analysis Accelerator program, which I enrolled for. Now this program, remember I had done a BA program before. This Black Tech program was intense. I mean, it was immersive. There was so much practical training. There was so much support from the faculty, from the community. I mean, I knew when I started applying for interviews, if I knew at every point in time what I had to do. So if I wasn't getting calls, I knew, okay, maybe there was something wrong with my resume. I had to revamp that. If I wasn't getting past the first level of interview, I knew that, okay, I knew what to do because of what the community had taught me and because of what I had learned from Black Tech. Now, after that program, I was not only inspired and equipped to transition, I got 2 job offers, and I had the big problem of trying to choose, okay, which of these jobs would I do? And both of them were double figures. So, I mean, were 6-figure jobs. And it was so intense that after I got the jobs, I had to shut down my LinkedIn, shut down my Indeed, because I kept getting calls and emails for interviews. It was so much, so what I'd been trying to do for a couple of weeks, a couple of years, I achieved it in 6 months when I came to know NIPCA and Black Tech and take advantage of what the community had to offer. And if you're here today, I want to tell you, you are in the right place. But one thing that you must note is you must be ready and willing to put in the work. It wasn't an easy journey. The 6 months wasn't an easy journey, trying to balance with my work, trying to balance with the kids, with family and everything. But be ready to put in the work, be ready to unlearn and learn new things. And the sky would be your starting point. Like Osita said, activate your coconut head. Just know that, look, you can do this thing. And that is what NIPCA opened my eyes to see. I mean, there are so many people doing this. Why not you? That's what NIPCA made me ask myself. Why not me? I can achieve this too. And when you're in the community, you see people who have done this and achieved these things that you want to achieve. And you see them there and willing to help you at any time T. That has been my experience. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, Stephanie. That is powerful. I think that's something very practical. And, if you would take anything away from that, is that the biggest currency, 2 currencies you can think about in Canada will be your network and also the information you make yourself, you avail yourself. So basically, as Stephanie rightly mentioned, Black Tech, NIPCA is definitely available for you when it comes to network and also when it comes to information. So the coconut head is what we actually need. Remember the theme of this event tonight. It's not just for you to arrive in Canada. We want you to succeed and then go beyond that to flourish. So activate the coconut head because the 6-figure job are out there and we all can get it. All right, without further ado, I will be calling right now Chinedu to give us those powerful testimonials. Please go ahead, Chinedu.
Yeah. Thanks, Femi, and thanks to the team at NIPCA for the opportunity. I would like to say, I think Femi rightly said, the most powerful thing you actually have is information and your network, right? And I think my colleagues, Stephanie and the others actually mentioned how, in fact, they've virtually said it all, but I'll just share my story from the data analytics viewpoints, right? So I transitioned into Canada, that was about 2 months ago, September. And I can tell you that the journey has been, I wouldn't lie, it's been really good, right? Thanks to NIPCA under the umbrella, thanks to Black Tech under the umbrella of NIPCA. I think my story started way back when I was in Nigeria. So I met a very good friend. I've actually known him since Nigeria. I would like not to mention his name because he's a very shy person. So when coming into on my journey to coming into Canada, I say, okay, I want to transition into data analytics because I actually have a background in engineering. My first degree and master's was actually engineering. And I said, okay, I want to transition into data analytics. And the first thing he actually, okay, let me see your resume. And I bombarded him with my resume. I said, oh, wow, this is, and the next thing he told me that, oh, you're not ready for this job. Maybe I think you actually do a warehouse, which is not bad. I was like, why? He now said, you're not ready. I was like, oh, why? And that's okay. That he was going to link me up to a group anything I come up with in that group, I should let him know. And that was actually where I joined the NIPCA group. And I can tell you, from that point, I joined the NIPCA group, from their courses to their data analytics program, up to the point I entered into Canada. It was, I won't lie, it was very difficult for me in terms of matching that particular program with family. And like Stephanie rightly said, it's not an easy journey, but once you put your mind to it, it's actually something you would do. It's something you will see the benefits to. The opportunity, I won't lie, they are endless. They are endless. When I mean the opportunities are endless, they are really endless. So it boils down to where can you do it? Are you willing to put that time to it? And do you have the mental strength? Do you have the mental capacity? And I can tell you, NIPCA gives you more like a ice on the cherry, right? They not just only give you that opportunity, that platform, they also give you that network. So they train you at the same time, they also give you that network to even find a job, which I can tell you that not many communities gives you that kind of opportunity. And after I did my program with the data analytics program, the course, very extensive, very rigorous, I won't lie, but it was really worth it. I can tell you after that course, I think it didn't take me up to a month. I got 3 jobs offer. When I mean 3 job offer, I didn't, not just, it's a very good, it's very, I wouldn't like to say the figures, but they are very good offers, right? In fact, just yesterday, I had to reject one of the offers because they were bombarding me. I had to reject one of the offers. It's a very good company. And I won't lie, the journey has been awesome. From referrals to interviews to companies calling you here and there, just for based on the skills and how strategic NIPCA has actually positioned you in terms of their skill set, how you've developed yourself. It's something I really like to commend the team for putting that robust program out there for people to really get hands-on knowledge, build portfolios, and really get that hands-on experience, right? And a few things I would like to mention, what really stands you out as a data analyst from a practical viewpoint is, first of all, is having that network, which obviously the network is already there, NIPCA. But NIPCA just basically shows you that roadmap. You actually have to do the work. Most times, where people really fail, or rather, where you really have challenges coming into Canada, it's actually where do they go to, because informations are basically out there. You go to YouTube, you see millions and millions of videos. But NIPCA just gives you that pathway. Okay, follow through this, build these skills, and give you that trajectory to really fill in the gaps. And you're really on that Aladdin. You're basically on that Aladdin's mat to heaven, right? So I think NIPCA gives you that platform to really explore. And I think that's actually what stood me out, what really gave me that skill set to stand out and get multiple job offers. It's something I'll refer to everybody, and something I'll keep on referring to people that I want to transition into the data analytics space. It's something that I feel it's really added value to me. I think it really add value to people coming into the system as well. Thanks.
Right. Thank you so much for sharing your journey with us. That is very insightful. And of course, you did mention how you were able to close the skill gap, because eventually that could be just all we need to do to ensure we achieve our success. So basically, for this session, one of the things we want to achieve is to ensure that we address as many routes to Canada as possible, because we all have different points of entry into Canada. So for example, we had Gozie talked about, coming to Canada, staying within our profession, what she preferred to do. We've had people like Stephanie speak. Also, Chinedu had spoken about how they pivoted into tech and they are living the Canada life. So right about now, I will also be calling in Emmanuel, who will actually be telling us his own journey. He came in as an international student. So that's another angle where we want to let you know that success is also guaranteed. So Emmanuel, let's have you on board.
Okay, thank you, Femi. Just to check with you, Femi, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear, Emmanuel.
Okay, cool. I just want to check because I am in a kind of noisy area because I'm on campus now as a student. That's the life I live on a daily basis, but I enjoy it because there's a lot to learn. So thanks for the opportunity to share my story. I arrived in Canada about a year ago, and the decision to come was a very tough one. It was all about reinventing myself. I haven't worked for 19 years, close to 20 years. I wanted to do something new. I wanted to move my family to another country, and Canada provided a platform. So I took on a Master of Professional Studies program in analytics, right? And it was basically driven by the fact that that's the space in which I had worked for about 19 years. Now, what has the journey been like in the last 1 year? It's truly been transformational, and a very key a very key part of that wheel of transformation is NIPCA. And that's the story that I really want to share with us now. How did I get to know about NIPCA? Nobody told me there was NIPCA. Nobody told me there was Black Tech. I had just finished my second quarter. I'd been 6 months here. And then I was browsing on the internet and saw that there was a summit called Evolve Summit in August. As a student, I wasn't working, but I had to look for $30 to pay to attend this summit because I really wanted to connect with people. I wanted to network with people. I wanted to put myself out there. I wanted to see how much of authentic connections I could make. It wasn't about silver and gold, but it was more about talking to people at the level with which I could connect for a better tomorrow. And I looked for $30 and I registered for the event. I had no car. I had to take several buses. It was in Mississauga. I live in Scarborough, and got there. And then the first person I met was a lady that I had worked with whilst I was in one of the companies I worked back in Nigeria about 12 years ago. And you can imagine the warm reception and all of that. And the lady introduced me to Osita. And myself and Osita had a 5-minute chat at the point where I kind of had my elevator pitch in my back pocket every time. And Osita gave me his card. And for 2 weeks, I didn't even remember to call him, but I called him after 2 weeks. He didn't pick. He called me back. The reason I'm sharing this was that something very key happened when myself and Osita finally connected. And he's on this call now. The first question I asked him when we did connect around 11 p.m. that night was that, hey, how can I help you? I'm looking to see how I can help contribute my quota to making an impact in this community. And Osita told me there were 2 things. He specifically mentioned 2 things. One was the Elevate, and the other one is an initiative which I've started to run with him now. I stand today because I'm glad he gave me the opportunity to be able to add value. Not necessarily around, what could NIPCA give me, but what could I give to NIPCA? And I think this is one very important point to anchor the conversation on. It's really not about what can I get from NIPCA. Don't forget that you're getting things from a non-profit organization. So people are volunteering. I think what we need to do as we newcomers begin to get comfortable in the land is also to think of how we can give back as well. Somebody gave to us. We need to think about how we can give to others and grow those that are coming. I think my story is also anchored in the fact that I was looking to develop skills that were extracurricular. Through NIPCA, I have learned a lot about working with people, about connecting with people virtually, delivering strategic things. So for me, even as an international student, it has really helped me. I started to do a lot of interviews, and most of the things I'm saying are things that I picked up on the job with NIPCA. So thank you so very much, the NIPCA team, to Osita, to Tosin, to Femi, to everyone, and to those who have organized this meeting. I am one life that you've affected positively. Thank you so much.
And look at you. You are also very, very look at the way you are sounding it. Those that have organized, as if you are look at this man. Look at this man. But you are the forefront of the organization of this, man. Thank you so much, Emmanuel. You are such an incredible person, man.
No
Thank
problem.
you. Thank you.
Yeah. No problem. Thanks, boss.
Yeah, perfect. So thank you so much, Emmanuel. And of course, we appreciate your humility. We know definitely all this, we all had to bake this together. So thanks for your contribution. Thanks for the insights. And of course, I will also want to re-echo what you said about volunteering. Sometimes things like that can be foreign to us based on our exposure, based on our background. But much more than ever, we want to understand that this is another society where volunteering has got great values. So you probably want to think about that if that is not on your top radar. So think about that. It could lead to some other levels of opportunities. So that said, I will be, so thank you again to the 4 people who have actually volunteered, Gozier, Emmanuel, Stephanie, and so you have your name as Roland. Okay, so we want to say thank you again for sharing this insightful journeys with us. So right about now, I will be changing gear for a second and we will move to the next items we have on the agenda. So I'm just going to share my screen and we'll take it from there. Okay, yeah, hello, Tosin. Can you please enable for me to be able to share my screen, please?
Yeah, you're fine. You're fine.
All right, perfect. Thanks, Osina. Okay, so the next item I have here is just a formal proposal. So it's something, people who have actually walked the journey felt we can share with you as a sort of roadmap. Because, for some of us, we probably didn't have, at the time of coming into Canada, for different reasons, we probably didn't have people who could guide us in terms of roadmap. So again, this is not more or less the end of it all. It's not more like an end-to-end kind of thing, but it's more of a proposal based on experience, based on what people who have actually walked this path felt work for them. So it's more like, again, sharing this insight with us. And of course, you can customize to suit your respective journey. So basically, this is what we think about when we think about the roadmap in Canada. So we're looking at the week 1. So, and week 1 just means what you want to achieve in your first 7 days when you get to Canada. And of course, we are actually dragging that up to your 12th month. So basically, again, these are insights for you to think about. And the first thing I want to point out is the green arrow that is actually running up here. So basically, that's the basic foundation, the bedrock on which your journey should be built. It's about the networks. It's about the reviewing again. So it's more like retrospect. So at every point in time, you want to ensure that, while you're building your networks, while you're walking your journey, you want to make sure at certain times you take a pause. It's more like, review it, see if things are working, if things are not. And of course, a lot of us here probably do that, but we're saying be more intentional about doing that. So we're expecting that in your first week of getting to Canada, one of the things we will say you don't want to joke about is anything that could help you maintain good health status, or even when it comes to things about your healthcare. That's one of the things we think you should prioritize, no matter how long you've been in Canada for. Your healthcare, you don't want to compromise, no matter what. So basically, that's a proposal for you. And the good thing about most of these healthcare features is that a lot of them are covered by the province at different provincial levels. But of course, to get more information about this, we do have some resources we will share with you at the end of the session. But more importantly, you want to know they happen at provincial levels for most of them. And of course, to get more information, you can always double click on what is obtainable in your own province. And of course, the other thing is your ID. You want to ensure that within your first 7 days, you want to get a form of identification. We've had instances, for example, where, people talk about some IDs which can work, but one of the ones we will always recommend is driver's license, for example. There are several others, and driver's license, because in most provinces in Canada, driver's licenses are actually graded. So it's a form of, you're moving from, for example, I'm speaking to Ontario, where I live, you're moving from a G1, for example, to a full G. So we recommend that you, as quickly as you can, want to get a driver's license, you want to get your SIN. I'm sure everybody will say yes to that, because of course you need your SIN to actually get a lot of privileges obtainable in Canada. And after that, again, networking. You don't want to joke with that. You know, like Emmanuel rightly mentioned when he was talking, one of the things he came for at the Evolve Summit was more of networking. And I can tell you, Osita, I'm sure you can actually corroborate my story here, how powerful and impactful Emmanuel has been in this community, even in this short spell. It's like a big elephant moving things. So and I'm sure that could always be some points for referral. There could be some points for, you know, certain people just seeing those great things you're doing. So NIPCA, for example, people have asked, how do I join NIPCA? It's anybody and everybody can join. So there are no restrictions, there are no forms of discrimination against anybody. Even if you're choosing not to eventually stay within tech, NIPCA is an immigration settlements umbrella. So we want to ensure that we support immigrants coming in end to end. So let's think about that your first week. And of course, in your first month, we are expecting you to begin to expand your network because that is your biggest currency. I can use, for example, where I currently work. So I work as a Scrum Master. And where I currently work, I can tell you, the job I'm doing now, it's just a referral. Somebody just called me up. It wasn't even advertised. Somebody just called me up. Do you want to do this job? We have this, blah, 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 blah. I said, okay, yeah, let's talk. And then straight, I was talking to not the VP now, the ED, the direct then, and that was it. So for me, please don't joke with your network. It could be some of those beautiful moments you need. And of course, at this time, you should be defining your career path. You know, you could be doing some of those jobs to help you foot the bills at this time. But again, you don't want to sit there. You don't want to stay there because, of course, you're better than that. That's not the Canadian dream you said you want to live. But at this time, you want to define your career path. And defining your career path at this time, you have the communities to support you. You have people to actually, you know, even help your thought process. Because sometimes we all have been in moments and instances in life where things just look blurry. We are not sure of what to do. So then that's the importance of the community. Speak up to someone. You know, in Canada, you know, I remember one of my managers when I was working for a bank here, rightly said, in Canada, nobody just gives you anything without you asking for it. So even if you think you are due for promotion, don't think anybody will just tell you, oh, you are due for it. Sometimes they think you just enjoy the job. That's why you are passionate about it. You know, so he told me, you always have to ask. So if you're having blurry moments, please speak up. And at this time, of course, you want to start your job search because probably you are just doing some jobs to help foot the bills at this time. But start those job search. Don't think that without Canadian experience, you may not get what you want. You definitely can. There are people who got into Canada. We see, for example, Gozie mentioned how she got got a job almost immediately thereabout when she came in. So don't think you can't get a job. And of course, the housing, I will not overflock that. We know we need to settle something about housing. I'm not saying buy a house, but at least get yourself comfortable because we want a place you can come back to call home. This impacts mental health in any way. You don't want to be stressed outside and also stressed at home. So that's why we're recommending that. And of course, at the end of your third month, now you've defined your career path. You want to pursue it. Remember that Osita say that more than 1,000 times. So there's no way we cannot activate that because it is very critical. So at this time, you're pursuing your career path, and pursuing career path in this case does not mean wishful thinking. We're saying take steps, deliberate steps. And while taking this deliberate step, you want to think about the gaps. You want to think, do I have certain gaps I need to cover? And this is just being honest to yourself. You will know if there are gaps. Now, there are several programs. Black Tech has tons and loads of programs you can actually take advantage of. So at this time, you're thinking about this. Should I be doing a certification? Should it be a preaching program? So either way, you need to define this. And of course, network, we've talked about that. Job search, keep on searching. If it didn't come in the first month, don't get this. The quarter should still keep working, you know. And your 6 months, and I'll take a pause here to actually say, again, remember the top arrow telling you have to review. So take that moment again to retrospect. Are the steps you're taking, the actions you're taking, are they bearing the fruit? If they are not, come on, re-strategize. So it's always something you want to always think about. And volunteering opportunities, we don't think you should joke with that. Canada is a country that definitely appreciates volunteering, contributions. Based on several backgrounds, our levels of exposure, and things we've done in times past, some of us are not naturally, oriented towards volunteering, which is not bad. But we're saying at this time, we need to start on learning and relearning things, because this has got a lot of value. And again, you want to check your career goals. How well are you going against it? Do you need to adapt to certain things? Do you need to make adjustments? And again, the job didn't come in the first week. It didn't come in the first month. The third month, it didn't happen. Come on, keep going. It definitely can happen. Within 6 months, we've read stories about people that this happened, because eventually we have different curves when it comes to our immigration journey in Canada. There are people who will get it in the first week. Some may get it in the first month, but if yours is going to happen in the 6 months, don't give up, just keep going. Just keep going. And then I will make big emphasis on the 12th month. And 12th month here simply means you could have gotten the job you wanted. You could feel you've settled in Canada. You could actually have gotten most of the immediate things you want, to make you comfortable. But we're saying that is not the end of it. For example, you're not just going to say, because I've gotten the kind of jobs I want, how about you doing other things to get yourself become a VP in your organization? How about doing other things that could actually, get you those higher levels of satisfaction? So we're saying at this point, you want to refine your goals. If it's not working as planned, it could mean refine strategies. So sometimes it's the goal, sometimes it's the strategies. So either way, you want to make sure that, at the 12th month, you want to always revisit this. Again, these are recommendations. For some people, they would rather, look at their goals and strategies every quarter, which I like to do. And for some people, it's more about, having it well spaced out. So whichever one works for you, you want to make sure you always review all that. So basically, I will take a pause at this and let you know this is what we are looking to share as a roadmap, and think about it. Look at the one that works best for you and then take it from there. So I want to say thank you, everyone, for listening to that. And since I am still on the sports, I will take a moment now to, let's have another change of gear again. And this time around, we want to talk about something that is very important in Canada. And for those of us that have questions, please, let's put them in the chats. We will definitely come to the Q&A session in a bit. So there's something very important in Canada. We've talked about the testimonials. We've talked about how you want to make things happen, how you want to get your career job, get those satisfaction. But also there's something important in Canada about tax system. And most of us came from a background where it's probably, you can be more creative around your tax systems there. But here, of course, there could be some things you don't want to catch up with you later in life, because sometimes ignorance might not be an excuse to the law. So that's why we've actually brought an expert on board to actually tell us something about the tax system in Canada. So I will be calling on Sheye at this time to please come on board and let's talk about this. You're on mute, Sheye, if you're talking.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Good evening.
We can hear you.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. Yeah, having code. Thank you guys for having me. Let me share my screen. Can you enable me to share my screen?
Can you try? Everybody can share. You're perfect. We can see your screen now.
Okay. Thank you guys for having me on this discussion panel. Yeah, so the initial thought around this was that this is for, when you say newcomers, maybe people that are new a year or 2 years in Canada. But along the line, I discovered that we have people that spent 3 years, 5 years on this call. And I believe one way or the other will learn new things because taxes, policies around taxes changes every now and then. So I believe you'll be able to pick one or two things. Yeah, Share the principal consultant, Accurate Consult. I own an accounting firm that supports small businesses. Yeah, so this slide, can you see my slide?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, so this slide talks about personal income tax vis-a-vis business income tax. Now, back home in Africa, most of us, our taxes are taken from our payroll, pay tax. And at the end of the year, the company and the government, they settle themselves. They do the calculation and do the settlement between the company and the regulatory body. But in Canada, as an individual, you have to file your taxes yourself. That's why we call it self-assessment. So what you're doing is that you're looking at the income you made in the course of the year versus the taxes you have paid at source. So it's more of like you are the one doing the assessment yourself. This is what I've earned. These taxes I've paid. If I've overpaid, I'll be refunded. And if I've underpaid at that point, the government will maybe charge me additional taxes. Another thing I would like us to know is that when I first got to Canada, the first year I got to Canada, being a chartered accountant, and I talked to a lot of people that you can do your taxes yourself. And okay, there are a lot of free tax software that people can use. So I got hold of one and I did my taxes myself. Then after like 3 months, I have the opportunity to attend a tax training by one of the professional firms in Canada. And I realized that even as a chartered accountant, using the tax software, I missed a lot of key things that should have been considered while using the free software to do my taxes. So most of us just believe that my taxes is simple, I can do it myself, let me use the free software. But I realized that there are some fundamentals that you need to understand that are driving how refunds or your taxes are being computed. Along the course of this discussion, I will mention one of them. So your salary from your tax slip is part of the income that should be reported. Other income. Now, when they say other income, let's assume I have a used car and I dispose it. The government of Canada expects us to report the income on such disposed item, even though the business is not registered. When you make any income, either from tips or any negotiation you get yourself involved in, any income should be reported. Now, the flip side to that is that you might think, oh, nobody has information about this income. But the person that made payment to you can claim expense on that item and include it on his own tax return. Okay, look at this scenario. You sell your car to someone and someone purchased the car. In the buyer's tax return, included that he purchased this car at this so amount and is using this car for his business. Now, why government is trying to audit the buyer's tax return, they ask for additional information. And the buyer was able to provide the information. CRA can get back to the seller to ask for additional information that you made this income and it was not reported. So it's always advisable to ensure that to the best of your information, you report your income. Then investment income from either financial assets, from stocks, from cryptocurrencies too. I know a lot of technical guys also deal with in crypto. And since crypto is not established like the stock market, they expect us to report capital gain on cryptocurrency. Also, for a lot of us that having a lot of side gigs along the line, self-employment income versus business income. So if you have a business that is not registered in Canada, that is assumed to be a sole proprietor. type of business. The business is not registered, but you have a business and you're making money. You're supposed to report the income and the expense on that business. If you have a registered sole proprietor, that should be part of your personal income tax. The income and the expense on that line should be reported as part of your personal income tax. To repeat that, business that is not registered, the income and expense should be on your personal income tax, while a registered sole proprietor should also be on your personal income tax, because in legal terms, a sole proprietor and the business, they're the same thing. There's no separate legal separation between the two. Then moving to the business income tax. So if you have an incorporated business, the business is a separate entity from you as a person. So you are supposed to file your incorporated tax return. As you're filing your personal income tax, you're also required to file your business taxes. Ideally, your personal income tax run from January 1st to December 31st of the calendar year. But for your business incorporated tax, you're supposed to file the tax from the date of incorporation. So let's assume I set up a business today, November 17. Today is November 15. November 15. I set up business November 15. The government expects me to file the first tax return for that business from today's date, November 15 to the next 12 months or the next 3 months. I can choose that my first tax year will be November 15 to December 31st. I can choose that my first tax year is from to the next 12 months. As long as the first tax year is no more than the first 12 months, it could be the first 3 months, could be the first 2 months, could be the first 12 months. Then subsequently, after the first 12 months, I can have my annual taxes for the business. Now, this slide shows the applicable personal income tax rate in Canada. Now, on the average, in most of the provinces in Ontario, for example, if your taxable income is around this range, the federal government will charge 15% on your taxable income. Ontario will charge, the province will charge 20%. So on the average in Ontario, if your taxable income is around 49K, effectively you will pay 35% tax rate. So on the average, on the every $100 you make, government is collecting over $30 in this part of the world, over a third of your income. So we need to be strategic about our taxes. If not, we just be working for the government and realize that your take home cannot take you home. Then another thing we need to consider is if you have a business, between having the business as a sole proprietor or an incorporated business, the net income of the sole proprietor will be added to your personal income tax. So let's assume this person has a sole proprietor, and at the end of the year, he made a net income of $30,000. Net income, revenue minus expense, $30,000. It means that this person on the business income, it will be charged 35% of the 30,000, which is huge. That's why it's advisable to use the incorporated business line. Effectively, the federal business tax, incorporated tax, is 9.9%, while the province will charge a small business tax rate of about 3.2%. So for someone in Ontario, effectively is around 12.2%. That's what you're going to pay on the net income of your incorporated business. But if the business is not incorporated and it operates as a sole proprietor, you'll be charged around 30%. So it's always advisable. If you have a choice, we recommend that you set up an incorporated business instead of using a sole proprietor to manage your business. basically, this slide shows us how our refund or how much you're owing the government is being computed from your salary income. If you have a self-employment income, a proprietor income is added to your salary income, any other income like tips or commission, this is your total income. Then less tax deductions. So the major game changer is the tax deductions and the tax credits. The goal is, how do I increase my tax deduction so that for my total income, so the tax amount that's being charged is the taxable income. That's why it's called taxable income. The goal is to reduce my taxable income, maximizing my deductions and also my tax credits. So you are familiar with the former US president, Donald Trump. There was a particular year, the effective tax paid, or maybe he paid back to the government, was $75. He made over almost $1 million from employment. Yeah, but because he was able to effectively manage his taxes using tax deductions, I'm not saying what he did was right or wrong. So there are legal ways to reduce your taxes as long as you do the right thing, you understand the law. So these are the common deductions. Basically, for those people that are familiar with this, they understand what this, but I'll just run through it. Register pension plan. If you contribute to a pension plan in where you work, is similar to RSP. Is a deduction that you can use to reduce your taxable income. Childcare expense, government to support families paying childcare expenses. But this will only go on the tax of the lower earning spouse, just to encourage that everyone participate in the labor market. Moving expenses, if you move for employment or you move because you need to change your school, this is when you can claim this. So let's assume someone got a new job in Alberta. You need to move your family to Alberta. You're changing your job, you can claim it, or you are changing your school, you're moving, you can claim all the expenses associated with moving. Then if you have investment, you have financial assets, stocks, you can borrow. So imagine buying 50,000 worth of maybe stocks, borrowing to invest. I can claim the interest on those debts to reduce my taxable income, because I will report income on those assets. I can also use carrying charges to reduce my taxable income. Other employment expenses. This one, for most of us that work from home, we can claim a lot of employment expenses to reduce our taxable income. Then these are credits. They are similar to tax deduction, just that they are credits. So these credits are converted into monetary value, maybe at 15%, at 5%, or 10%. So let's assume at the end of the year, my total tax credit was maybe $50,000 in terms of tax credit. That can be converted to monetary terms, maybe at 10%, 10% of 50,000 would be what? 5,000. And that $5,000 will be used to reduce the tax I'm supposed to pay to the government, and it's going to increase my refund. Donations and give tax credits, home buyers amount for those first-time home buyers. Digital news subscription. This, most of us might not be aware of this. So government is trying to encourage people not to buy physical newspaper and the rest. When you subscribe to digital news subscription tools, you can claim those expenses. Yeah, medical expenses. This is pegged to your net income. For students, you can claim your tuition, education, and textbook amount to reduce your taxable income. For students that has student loans, the interest you pay on those loans is a credit that can be used to reduce your taxable income. Then disability amount, if you have disability or you have your loved one that are disabled one way or the other, maybe not, it might not be physical disability, it might be could be maybe sight or some other things that are not can claim all those expenses. Then foreign tax credit. For those of us that maybe the first year we migrate, or for those that are still earning income in Africa, you have a job in Africa, you have a job here. You are paying taxes on that job in Africa. When you file your taxes, to reduce the effective tax you will pay, you earn foreign tax credit. Now, Canadian tax system is based on residency. If you are a resident in Canada, you have to pay tax in Canada. So if you have a job in Canada, you have a job in Nigeria, you are supposed to pay tax on the income you earn in Nigeria. But the expectation is that you have paid some income tax in Nigeria. So it's the net of the two. If you have overpaid in Nigeria, Canada government will refund you for the amount that you overpaid. Then Canada training credits. You can, if you attend a training that relates to your job, you can claim that on your personal income tax. The institution facilitating this training must be a Canadian entity. Now, this slide is just about things that are certain in this part of the world. Even when people pass on in this country, the government will review their property and charge them taxes. So we need to plan our taxes well. Now, this last slide is on businesses, that why you need to have a business. If you only have a salary.
Sorry, Sheye, I apologize, Sheye. So we have about 2 more minutes for this section. So are we close to the end, sir?
Yeah, so this is just the last slide. So the message here is that if you are in this call, you are aspiring to earn a 6 digits, you need to manage your taxes well. And one of the tools to manage your taxes is setting up a business. Even if you are a salaried employee, you need to have a business register to manage your taxes, because when you have such, you can reduce your taxes effectively. So imagine when I'm paying all these bills, I know that I have more than 2 businesses. My businesses will incur part of these expenses. Effectively, when I'm filing my taxes, it's going to reduce my taxable income. So during the course of the week, I had issue with my car. I paid $100 to fix it. But by making the payment, I know that, oh, I'm going to get this money back from the government because I have a business that is using the vehicle. So I'll be able to claim some of these expenses back. I operate my business from home. My mortgage, my rent will be business expense, and effectively, it's going to reduce the amount of business tax I'm going to pay. And on both ways, I'm not losing out. So if you don't have a business, I would advise you to seek on getting one registered so that you can effectively manage your taxes in Canada. Yeah. Okay. You can take it away.
All right. Yeah, thank you so much, Sheye. That's a lot of information which are very valuable. So please, I know there are some questions coming up. Please keep dropping those questions. We will have the Q&A session in a bit. So coming to the last presentation for tonight. So this will be coming from an organization, Men of the North, and taking that would be Mr. Christopher Merasti.
Thank you. Thank you. Tansigia. My name is Christopher Merasti. I am the president and founder of the Men of the North program. It is a men's wellness and healing program, as we've been developed this program about 3 years ago and been going successfully. We've been seeing a lot of men accessing the needs of mental health and mental health supports, resources, tools, things that they need to help them to make sure that they remain successful, especially for individuals that are coming out of incarceration. We offer a reintegration program, as well as other means and supports to help the individual and their families to be successful. And I know that coming over to Canada is definitely a transition that many are challenged with. And I know that there's lots of challenges here in Canada. One of the things that I see is nature. Nature is very challenging up here in Canada. It gets very, very cold. And I highly recommend that you don't cheap out on winter gear. It's definitely beneficial when you look after yourself. You treat yourself like you're somebody you respect, and your winters up here will be, successful. I think that a lot of individuals that come from other parts of the world up to Canada don't understand the weather system that we have here in Canada, and it gets very cold. There's lots of lakes, lots of open water sources, so lots of wind coming off those lakes. And if you're not dressed properly, there's parts of you that can definitely freeze, especially during the January and February months. So just a little information for you. Just, don't cheap out on your winter gear up here. Definitely will help you through these harsh and cold winters that we do have up here. As well as, don't think that you're so high and mighty that you cannot take advantage of the humble opportunities that are granted to you. So as I heard in the previous presentations about volunteering your time and your supports and your efforts, definitely be beneficial to you, because it will open up a world, a networking world for you to be able to accommodate and to making sure that your needs are met, your family's needs are met, and you're supporting as well as other community members. So take advantage of those opportunities when they do arise. I know that a lot of us don't portray ourselves into, volunteering our services and offering our hand in the community as often as we need to, because we have a lot of things going on in life. We have, a job, we got a career to maintain, we got financial obligations to uphold. We also got our families to create a balance, and then we got ourselves, to create that balance. So definitely finding a structure and a well-balanced diet to look after, yourself, looking after your family, maintaining your structure, your whole domain is definitely beneficial. As I'm a First Nation man, I'm what they call is a Cree Indigenous person here of Canada. And I was born and raised here in northern Saskatchewan, and probably retire and end up living out my days here in northern Saskatchewan. But one of the things, though, that when First Nation communities, when you see, I wouldn't say all of the First Nation individuals here, but there's a majority of individuals that were subjected to what is called the residential school era. And it was a very cruel and harsh time in the First Nation and Métis communities, as they took children away from families and forced them into these boarding schools. And there they were subjected to different types of abuses throughout their whole upbringings in these schools. And so when those schools closed down, I think the last school that was shut down was in 1996. And so a lot of the First Nation communities are still seeing the causes and effects of these schools and the tremendous outpour through the alcohol and drugs, suicides, and all these different things definitely play a causal role into the abuse that so many of these individuals encountered being raised in these schools. So if you notice in the bigger cities and stuff like that, you'll see maybe a lot of First Nation people or a lot of Indigenous people out on the streets, in alcoholic or into bars, and a lot of individuals are Indigenous people on the social media front when they're wanted by the police and all this. And then our institutions and our incarceration rates are extremely high when it comes to Indigenous people. So I just want to let you all know that a lot of it has to do from the abuses that were stemmed through the generations. And I believe that the residential schools were open for over 100 years. And so it's going to take a little bit of time for individuals to process that and to forgive and to let go of all those troubles and tribulations and stuff like that. And I know that Men in the North is definitely doing a good job in helping individuals to come in, speak their truth, understanding who they are up here and as well as in here. So that way they can do better in life and making sure that they're going to be successful, resilient, and making sure that they're committed to understanding and sort of self-development and improving on a constant and continuous basis. So getting an education, learning how to read, learning how to write, and learning how to speak. Those are three key areas that every individual, I'm suggesting that every individual get heavily involved with. Because if you can learn how to speak, you're going to be able to have these meaningful conversations when they need to happen. I know that a lot of men, because I deal with a lot of men, often don't know how to speak, and often they just up in anger and they just end off going off drinking, using drugs, womenizing, and that whole cycle continues. So I'm suggesting and highly recommending that individuals, practice your speaking, because speaking your truth will definitely help you in this world. And the pursuit, remember now, the pursuit is not for happiness. The pursuit is to be a good person, and happiness will follow. Thank you very much.
Wow, thank you so much. That's a very great one there, Mr. Merasti. Thank you for sharing what's happening on that part of Canada, in that part of Canada. I apologize, because for some of us, of course, we've probably been in just this part of Canada. Thank you for giving us some holistic perspective there. All right, so right about now, it's been a loaded session, but of course, there are tons of resources we've also got for you. So there's going to be a newcomers kit that will be sent to our email. So I'm not going to go through that slide for our time, so we can have some time for Q&A. But right after the session, expecting your email, if you have registered, you will get the newcomers kit, where we've shared some resources, majorly websites and hyperlinks, where you can actually get some support and information, for example, on some communities, some information about the tax system, some information about housing in Canada, and then some information about some government benefits. So please do avail yourself, take advantage of those resources, which you will get in the email. And right about now, it will be time for some Q&A. So we do have some questions already posted in the chat, but also if you want to ask the question directly, so please feel free to actually raise up your hand. You can use the reactions button to just signify if you have a question that you will like to ask directly. So while we are at that, I will take some questions from the chat. And I probably will be directing this to Osita, if that's okay first. So the first question we have is, what's the difference between NIPCA and Black Tech?
Okay. So in keeping it simple, right? NIPCA is a not-for-profit organization. Of course, the focus for NIPCA is to support immigrants. Primarily, initially, the focus was to support Nigerians. But of course, together, as we make progress as an ecosystem, we've got so many members, so many people coming, right? Both Nigerians, Ghanaians, Senegal, Indians. So today it's open to everyone to come in. As long as you're interested in tech, you come into the community, you collaborate with others, support one another to grow. That is NIPCA. Why Black Tech focuses on skills, right? So these are two separate entities, but they are sister collaborative organizations. Black Tech focus is more on skills development, training in tech. And Black Tech is also a social enterprise. Everything is geared towards empowerment, supporting, professionals to become the very best version of themselves.
Yeah, thank you, Osita. So the next question I have here, I will probably call on Tosin. So how do we apply for volunteering opportunities in Canada?
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a great one. So there are several opportunities and different ways to do that. First and foremost, I would say if, as members of NIPCA, you would see within the community, right? That's our internal platforms where we interact. You see things posted regularly, right? Which shows you different opportunities to actually, to volunteer. What I would advise is you can join. And I posted earlier on in the chats, there's some opportunities that are available right now if you want to volunteer. If you can go through the chat, you see it. You can always reach out to us by sending an email or your resume to operations@nipca.ca, and we can help you with those things that are readily available, that we have knowledge of. But beyond what NIPCA is able to offer, you can actually volunteer anywhere. I've had cases of people just writing. I have a friend of mine who worked in aero contractors in Nigeria for several years. And when he came in here, he was working as a marketer, but he didn't like it because he wanted to go back into the, airline industry. He walked up, down to Delta Airlines, told them what he was doing, told them he wanted to volunteer, dropped his resume, and right there and there, that same day, they called him back and said, you know what, can you come in? They didn't just offer him a volunteering position, they offered him a paid job immediately, but he was willing to do it without being paid. He didn't ask, he didn't know anybody, he just walked in and said, I'd love to volunteer. And just like Chris said earlier on, Canada thrives on volunteering. You will see someone who is the CEO of the biggest company in Canada, you still see him volunteer probably in the food bank to share food for people on a Saturday. This is something you don't need anybody to help you to do it. You can just do, but if you need help in terms of, okay, where do I go? I would like to volunteer in my particular industry or field so that, just like Osita told us initially, you start from the known or the unknown now and grow into something bigger. Sure, we can always help to guide you. You just join NIPCA, right? Come into the ecosystem, send an email to operations@nipca.ca and we'll lead you. And just to round it up, we currently have some volunteering, though they will be paid, but it's more like an intern or volunteering positions, even for Men of the North. There's a lot that they are doing right now, and they are really looking for people. So if you're interested in helping out, just reach out to us. Like I said, send email and we'll take it up from there. Thanks.
Right. Thank you, Tose. So we have a question here. Sheye, I think this will be coming to you. So the question is, when I transfer funds from my Naira accounts to my Canadian accounts, will I be taxed on that?
Okay. Yeah, so people believe that maybe either the regulators or CRA, they check your bank accounts. Ideally, if there's no suspicious transaction, you're not being audited. People do indirect transfer to me, you understand, does not mean that I will pay tax on such amount. So when I move money from my Naira account to my bank account in Canada, there is no tax implication. The only implication is that the Canadian bank can raise concern about movement of funds, but not that you'll be taxed on such amount being moved.
Yeah.
So
okay, sorry, Shay.
Yeah, to add to that, sometimes you want some people say, don't transfer funds to me, give me cash. Now, the belief is that if you transfer funds to me, I'll pay tax on it. You only pay tax on what is being declared. And if I don't have any suspicious business or CRA is not auditing me, any money transferred to my bank account, I won't pay tax on it, except I earn that money for business purpose. If it's for personal purpose, I won't pay tax on such transfer.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sheye. So just piggybacking on that, so there's a scenario here from Onyeka saying, I work from home. So I got my job when I was living in Ontario, and now I have moved to Alberta. So the question is, since tax will be deducted from source, will I still have to pay tax to the government of Alberta when I file my tax?
Okay, so when we file our taxes, CRA connect us with all the other provinces. So CRA will collect the federal tax, and what is due to the various provinces, CRA will handle that. So you will not be the one to handle such. CRA will connect you with all those provinces and will determine how much tax is due to each province.
All right, sounds good. Thank you so much. So we're coming to the end of this. So the last question, going to Mr. Merasti. So there's a question about if I don't live up not there, and is there a way I can still participate with Men of the North in terms of if I want to support, volunteer, or do certain things? Do you have some virtual volunteering opportunities I can participate in?
100%. We do definitely looking for the for individuals to help us with our IT service, website development, advertising, poster development, blogging, as well as even developing an online virtual workshops that we do, the in-person version, as we can probably look at taking this into the virtual online services and offering our supports and networking and collaborating with others, individuals, possibly right across the world. I know we had it going through the online, through Zoom like this, offering our services through the Zoom, and we were connecting with people from around the world. So definitely a world of opportunities there for sure.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Merasti. Yeah, so I know this is actually the time where we probably want to draw the curtain tonight. I know there are some burning questions, but much more than ever, know that NIPCA is always there for you, even for some of these follow-up questions. You can always go to nipca.ca, which is the official website of NIPCA, and then you will see the option to join. So once you join, definitely you will get added to the platforms, specifically Telegram. And from there, of course, you can always come in with your questions, some of the support you need. And even there are tons of information about Black Tech, even in that forum. So feel free to avail yourself of those resources. So once again, we will be sharing the welcome kits with the attendees. As long as you've registered and we have your email, we will send that to you. So I wish we can actually spend more time tonight, but this is the time where and when we have to draw the curtain. So we want to say a big thank you to the leadership of NIPCA, started with Osita, the man at the helm of affairs. A big thank you to Tosin, head of operation, for actually taking time out to actually, give us this moment. Also, a very big thank you to the team that actually put all this together. We are saying thank you to some of the volunteers that have actually spoken here. Mr. Merasti, we say thank you to you. Stephanie, we say thank you. Gozier, Emmanuel. So we say thank you to everyone for giving time out for this. I think if it's okay to give a virtual clap, that would be very fine. Can we please give everybody a round of applause? And of course, yourself for even choosing to be here. And of course, we do hope that this had been a great and informative session to us. Remember again, this is just a tip of the iceberg. We've given the resources, so please feel free to actually double click and then get more of this information. They are always available. So once again, thank you everyone and have a very good evening. Bye, goodbye now.
Bye. Good job, Femi.